and good morning, evening, or afternoon, depending on what part of the globe you're on and what time zone you are in. I am your host, Skeptically Speaking.
And I'm Sweet Pea from across the pond.
And you found us on YouTube. But did you know you can also find us on TikTok, Blue Sky, Discord, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Kick, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Substack? And how are you, Sweet Pea?
I'm feeling a little better today. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I just got through my first vodka lemonade.
Was that nice?
Thing, but
was it nice?
Very nice. Very
I'll have to try it with cherries next. Good. I'm glad that was nice. You'll have to try it for cherries next for me.
Well, all right.
Yes, I'm not able to drink alcohol at the moment, so Skeptically is very kindly
Drinking for both of us.
Yes, drinking for the both of us, and I am living vicariously through his drinking experience of trying different combinations, which I deeply appreciate. But once this is sorted, hopefully I'll be able to start drinking my share again.
Yeah, I put apple bits in the frozen lemonade ice ball this time.
Oh, yum.
So it's got a whole cacophony of a cornucopia of flavors, you could say. Well, friends, neighbors,
that would be delicious.
Friends and neighbors, if you want more independent media in your life, please consider supporting the show, Cash App, Venmo, or Patreon. Links will be down in the description. We'd love for you to include us into your litany of independent media. As you were saying.
You could try, yes, you should try candied apple flavored. Like you could put a caramelized outer layer on the apple before putting it in the vodka, and it'll give it like a toffee apple taste. Maybe. Could be nice.
Well, prepare to put your sad faces on. A racist has died. Sorry, I can't do it. I refuse to be sad over a racist, a very flagrant, just in your face. Absolute.
May I propose a toast?
Oh.
A toast to the racist. May his sobriety on becoming a better person start now.
His racism is forever cured.
So is his drinking. He can go join, is it Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah, him and Rush Limbaugh are both looking up at us. And don't forget Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. But we do have to remember in the end, Charlie did lean to the left. Sorry, had to.
Yeah, we're going to get... There's a tangential story involving that. But before we do that, let's get down to Scott Adams. Who is Scott Adams? He is the cartoonist of the Dilbert comic strip. Now, anybody who's followed Dilbert, basically it's satire of a soul-crushing corporate job. Somebody in IT has to deal with all of these goofy characters that run this company. And Scott Adams, I don't know, he got confused. He really got confused because when Trump came on the scene, he took it as, ooh, we get to be openly racist without any, without anything bad happening to us, without any consequences. It must be okay to be a racist now. So as of January 14th, so he's been dead 3-4 days. his
Okay.
book. I guess he did write a book.
I reckon that we actually what's the word? Pre-tribute to an actual person that history and people and family are actually going to miss, who actually was a conductive member of society, who done things for the better. I reckon that we honour, and I hope she rests in peace, to Colleen Colvin, who was a pro rights activist.
She was the predecessor of Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks, yes.
About 10 years?
She was 15 years old when she was on a bus when they were doing segregation back then. And someone of the white and cooked chicken persuasion was expecting her to move, but she stood her ground, which she had every right to do, and she didn't move out of that seat, which did lead to her arrest. But she will always be remembered in history for being brave and standing up what is right. But she did sadly pass a couple of days ago. So, not hijacking the show, but I just want to briefly mention this brave lady of history, because I think more of Black history needs to shine a light on the brave ones that stood up for what is right. And Colette was one of those people.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should save our empathy for people that actually deserve it. I mean, as Charlie Kirk said, empathy is for weak people. Empathy makes you weak. So we should take a page out of his racist handbook and not feel any empathy for racist fuckwits like Scott Adams. Charlie Kirk, Rush Limbaugh.
Save our empathy for people who actually deserve it.
Never speak ill of the dead, only speak good things. They're dead. Good. Scott Adams, creator of the comic strip Dilbert, and a major Trump supporter, died at age 68. It was once popular for satirizing corporate life, incompetent bosses, promotions without raises, absurd policies, but his strip was dropped by many leading newspapers in 2023 because of racist comments he made on his YouTube show. Sometimes he dealt in misogyny, transphobia, anti-Semitism. He died Tuesday at his home in Pleasanton, California. One of his two ex-wives announced his death on a live stream. Nice. And then it lists his, where he worked. And
Did I just hear that right? Did you just say that she announced his death on live stream?
Yes. Why not?
That is as bad as Erica Kirk having fireworks at a funeral.
Oh, the celebration and endless teardrops from a bottle.
Oh my.
Yeah, so Scott Adams, he basically lived the corporate life dealing with incompetent people. I mean, when you look at him, he looks like he's an underling that would work at a corporation. He basically was the Dilbert cartoon. So basically in 1986, or I should say in 89, he started distributing his comic strip to any newspaper that would take his cartoon and just kept trying to drum up interest until 1995 is when he quit his full-time job to focus on his cartoon. It's like, man, has it been around that long?
And before you ask, yes, that is a minion behind me. You're not seeing things.
So Adam aroused more criticism. In 2006 post on his blog, he wondered how the Holocaust death total of 6 million was determined. So, here we go. Holocaust skepticism, not quite denialism. A few years after that, he wrote about men's rights. So he's like, you don't argue with a 4-year-old about why he shouldn't eat candy for dinner. You don't punch a mentally handicapped guy even if he punches you first. And you don't argue with a when a woman tells you she's only making 80 cents to your dollar. It's the path of least resistance. I mean, with all of his corporate jobs, you would have thought he could access information that is literally free studies where they have found women making much less in the workforce. And then in 2023, he calls Black Americans a hate group because a survey showed a quarter of Black respondents disagreed with the statement, it's okay to be white. Adam commented, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I could give to white people is to get the hell away from Black people. So you can see in the early 2000s till now, he's just been going down this alt-right pipeline. It starts with Holocaust denialism, and then pretty soon he's Black people are a hate group. That's where he ends up. Adams claimed the remarks were hyperbolic. No, I listened to the clip. He wasn't being hyperbolic at all. And he won fans among conservatives, including Elon Musk. Adams rebooted Dilbert on an online subscription site. Okay. Well, he found his base finally because the majority of right-wing fuckwit racists don't read, so they can at least do cartoons. Not too strenuous. So I'm hoping NPR does a more in-depth job, but we'll see. He also drew fire in 2022 for introducing Dilbert's first Black character, an engineer named Dave who says he identifies as white. It was a critique of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and some saw it as a put-down of transgender identity as well. Well, yeah. I mean, it's he strayed from a very well-known formula, which is reality. Dumb bosses exalted to high office making stupid decisions, but then he decides to involve his alt-right fantasies with an African-American identifying as white. Like, oh, what statement are you making? It's like the arguments that sound better in his head. You know what I mean? And let's try it out. Let's see how it works. Let's see if it works on my cartoon. It's like, okay. You're free to try it. Kind of stupid, though. So in 2014, Adams used his strip to lambaste an anti-gay court ruling from India. Oh. The nation's highest court had ruled that a law banning carnal acts against the order of nature was constitutional. Adams had Dilbert call the ruling hopelessly ignorant and announced that Asak, the intern, is now officially gay. The cartoonist then had Asak saying he has a lot of gay stuff to do. Some U.S. newspapers wouldn't run the strip. Well, Go ahead.
So we thrive on trying to have as much intellectually honest information as possible. And for Scott Adam, for not knowing how there were 6 million Jews, yes, it wasn't just Jews that died during the Holocaust. And this is what racists need to realise. Nazis targeted a lot of people, for not being Aryan. So for Scott, yes, there was 6 million Jews that were assassinated by the Nazis. There was also Roma and Sinti, my people, Gypsies, between 250 to 500 million that were murdered. Black people were murdered by the Nazis as well. So were Slavic people and other ethnic groups that they didn't consider Aryan. They also targeted members of the, my other community, the LGBT community as well. There was a lot of innocent people that the Nazis murdered. But the number of Jewish people that were murdered is higher. There is like actual historical facts to support that. So I think it's highly nuts that Nazis preach, racists preach about how important knowing their history and stuff when they don't know other people's histories, where they won't take on other people's histories for facts, even though there is scientific facts to support what went on, and that's, just wanting to point that out.
Yeah, and so people that wish to, basically Scott Adams was the quintessential, basically he embodied mediocre white man.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't read, forget about educating yourself, just go with some sound bites and sound clips because it's easier. That's why Trumpism and MAGA is so easy, because you don't really have to think deeply about certain issues or about any issue. You don't really have to think deeply about it.
It's like Scott Adams is a copy version of Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, well,
kind of.
At least Ben Shapiro was smart enough to monetize his lack of, but yeah, it's coming around to bite him in the ass now, because he has nowhere to go as a Jewish MAGA Trump supporter, conservative. He has nowhere to go now.
No, and yes, I know people can say, but he's speaking out against Trump. Yeah, but he still said what he said, and he's still done what he done. He still supported people doing the sort of domestic terrorism against the country. There is no forgiving him for what he's done, even if, like with the majority, Taylor Greene as well. Yeah, she's speaking out against Trump as well, but I still don't trust them as far as I can throw them. Even Mitch McConnell is speaking out against Trump. I still would not trust him as far as I can throw him. They all supported this. This is what they supported. This is what they voted for. And now, when it's actually happening, and they don't like the result because it's not benefiting them, now they want to speak out about it. Where was that backbone before? They knew how bad it was. They still voted for it anyway. But sorry, let's get back to the racist Scott Adams, where I get too far off the beaten path.
That's okay. But yeah, what more can be said? You know, I'm going to include all of the articles. Basically, it's all these articles are kind of regurgitating the same thing. I'm kind of disappointed. NPR is kind of just.
My opinions of that is the cat that was on the t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's kind of the Melania Trump philosophy. I really don't care, do you?
And as a great man would say, Freddie Mercury, another one bites the dust.
Pretty much.
I would not be sad a racist has died, I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, here's a guy who just basically he satirized incompetence and then ended up directly supporting incompetence. Isn't that ironic? So USA Today, the NPR, as well as the Advocate, all of these articles will be in the description.
This is also a lesson on how dangerous cults are. How easy it is to be sucked into a cult and how hard it is to try and get back out of it. But it would be nice from the ones that got out of the cult if they would actually speak out more to say, you know, that they were wrong instead of trying to bury their heads in the sand. I understand that they, like, went through an ordeal, but like everyone that wasn't in the cult been through a huge ordeal as well, you know. Needs to be, you know, some acknowledgement of their part in what happened, you know.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to some bad news, and then we'll get into some good news. So Trump's DOJ now argues filming police is not protected by First Amendment. This is on the alternate, taken from the alternate. President Donald Trump's Department of Justice is now claiming that Americans do not have constitutional right to film law enforcement officers. The DOJ made the claim during a hearing in U.S. District Judge Catherine Menendez courtroom. The hearing was the result of ongoing litigation by Minneapolis residents over claims that U.S. Immigration Custom Enforcement agents pepper sprayed and arrested them without cause. While the initial complaint was filed prior to the fatal shooting of Renee Good, the plaintiff cited Good's death as reason to issue a temporary restraining order against federal agents. The Department of the DOJ attorney Jeremy Newman defended the recent trend of ICE agents drawing their weapons on civilian vehicles following them, saying following can lead to dangerous activity and that it was reasonable for officers to be concerned about their safety. They further reported that Newman cited the 2023 Molina and Book case to support his argument that observing and recording police is not clearly established First Amendment right. It's very clear that this is an ongoing emergency. However, other court cases decided at the federal appellate court level have ruled that Americans do indeed have the right to document police officers in the course of their duties. In the 2022 Irizarry and Yelia cases, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit ruled that the First Amendment guaranteed the right to film police officers quote, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. Judge Menendez, an appointment of former President Joe Biden, reportedly chided ICE agents for not including copies of any police reports, body cam footage, or statements from agents involved in altercations with plaintiffs. Newman responded that the agency did the best we could as the response to the litigation was cobbled together over the holiday season. Menendez also told plaintiffs she would rule on their petition for emergency relief by Thursday or Friday, and hinted that any ruling would pertain to their specific case rather than a broader decision impacting all protesters in Minneapolis. So this is not going to be the win that we think it is. So, yeah, interesting. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting case for sure. Link will be down in the description for the article. You can read that. So, yeah, they want to do away with filming police. They're working really hard to get rid of that right. They do not want people to have that right. Isn't that interesting? And if
because they're all corrupt. If they catch it on camera, then they don't have plausible deniability. And Trump and his corrupt lot live on the plausible deniability to be able to say, well, we didn't know that. But they can't do that if it's all caught on camera. ICE can't do things that are unlawful when they're caught on camera. Like when they assassinated that innocent woman, Renee Good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're having a hard time. They tried to cover up what they'd done, but they couldn't because it was recorded. You know, this is why Trump is now pushing for people not being able to record people, but it's always been a part of the First Amendment right. So unless he totally abolishes the First Amendment right, there's no way he can stop. You know, you can't just stop part of an amendment if you're not going to take all of it away, if that makes sense. So I think it's really important that people are careful not to give Trump an excuse to enact the Insurrection Act that he's wanting to do, because that will delay the midterms. We don't want anything to hinder or get in the way of us being able to go out to vote for the midterms.
Yeah, it won't have any bearing on that. I mean, he would have to declare martial law around the country, and martial law can only be declared if the military is taking over the civil government of a state. And they're not prepared to do that yet. They want to, but they're not. They don't have the wherewithal. So Pam Bondi is furious at prosecutors who reportedly quit rather than probe ICE shooting victim's widow. So Renee Good, her survivor wife, they are trying to go after her, target her legally. So 6 prosecutors decided to quit, just resign their positions because they don't want to be used in this type of corruption. And I fully get it. I'm surprised that I am surprised that there were so many that had enough integrity to say, you know what, we're not going to have anything to do with this. We're not going to do that. One of them was busy doing a photo shoot with the New York Times while ICE was out there risking their lives. Yeah, no, you're basically turning our streets into a war zone, is what you're doing. You're not you're not keeping us any safer. Go ahead.
Maybe she was referring to the fact that ICE slips on ice. I've seen a few nasty videos where ICE officers are trying to chase people and they end up sort of, say, on their behinds. nearly smacking their heads on the asphalt where they fall.
Yeah, this ice on ice violence it's getting out of hand. It really is. So, yeah. The Trump administration has blamed the 37-year-old mother, justifying the officer's action of self-defense. Bondi's Justice Department has requested Good's widow, who can be seen outside the vehicle, some of the footage be investigated for possible federal charges. And after seeing that footage, it's like, no fucking way. And so Bondi ripped the prosecutors on Fox News. So the breaking news tonight, I fired them all. They're fired from the office. She also claimed the employees had been out there interviewing all liberal law firms prior to their resignation. They want to be part of the resistance? Yeah, bring it on. They're not going to be working for Donald Trump and the Department of Justice any longer, but that's what we're up against, not only in Minnesota, but around the country. Bondi has faced increasing public and private pressure from the president, who told aides she is weak and ineffective. In September, he called her out on social media, reportedly in error, and told her to be more aggressive, to more aggressively pursue his political enemies. So yeah, MAGA on MAGA violence. I'm loving it. MAGA attacks the tiny school where Renee Good's son attends classes. Because these people can't be any more pathetic. They found the school where her son goes, and so they doxed him. The tiny charter school where slain mother Renee Good sent her 6-year-old son has been forced to conduct classes online after receiving a slew of threats following her fatal shooting by an immigration officer. The threats started pouring into Southside Family Charter School after the New York Post reported on the school's focus on social justice and right-wing social media accounts. Identified the school where Good had dropped off her son shortly before encountering the federal agent who shot and murdered her. Stop saying killing. This was a murder. So sick and tired of this milquetoast.
That is so fundamentally disgusting.
Yeah.
The right keeps shouting about how they want to protect kids. How is them sorting out and harassing a 6-year-old child after his mother was murdered by ICE? How is that wanting to protect children when they are openly doxing and harassing a 6-year-old child? That is not appropriate whatsoever. These people are absolutely disgusting.
Yep, they are. Yeah, so they're attacking the school because of the school's focus on social justice. And by calling Renee Good a domestic terrorist, the school is open for attacks, according to these assholes.
I'm sorry, but if they want to look at a domestic terrorist, then they need to go see that Ashley Babbitt who stormed the Capitol, even though she was told not to enter.
Here's the latest conspiracy theory. A TikTok video viewed more than 100,000 times suggested that Renee Good was trained to fight federal agents by her son's school. How stupid can you get? So you're telling me that all of these people that are fighting against ICE have been specially trained? Like where? From whence do they receive this training? Unbelievable. These morons will believe anything. Idiots and morons. Well, more good news. Professors who were fired for criticizing Charlie Kirk are returning to work. Following Charlie Kirk's death, public universities fired and censured employees who posted critical comments about the conservative icon. Months later, and with some legal pressure, a handful of schools are reversing course. In recent months, at least 3 fired professors have reclaimed their jobs, and 3 more have had suspensions lifted or investigations concluded in their favor. One of those employees, Darren Michael, at Austin, PA State, I don't know how to pronounce that, University in Tennessee, also secured a $500,000 settlement from his public university. The Tennessean, a member of the USA Today network, reported. Universities weren't alone in their actions. A Reuters report found that employees across the country fired hundreds for sharing disrespectful remarks about Kirk. But universities pride themselves on being centers of open inquiry where hateful speech is met with debate. Imagine. And many of these teachers who were investigated or fired basically shared what Charlie Kirk said himself and said, here's what he said. Go ahead.
So ICE agents are now only trained for 47 days instead of the 5 months. So instead of 5 months, they are only now receiving 47 days of training under a new law. And most of the ICE agents are made up of ex-police officers and ex-wardens. So that means any police officers or wardens that were removed from their jobs for abuse of power are now ICE agents.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot stress enough how 47 days of training is not enough.
Security guards get more training than that.
Yeah.
So let's see. So many of these posts, several of these posts that were made were done on their own personal accounts. They were not made in an official capacity. So that put the school in danger of getting sued. I mean, talk about being liable. So, of course, that doesn't mean employees can just say whatever they want without repercussion. Complaints about private matters, such as an employee's criticism of their bosses, don't receive the same protection. The courts have to balance an employee's First Amendment rights against the government agency's ability to operate. Zach Greenberg, faculty legal defense counsel at the Free Speech Group Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, said he was encouraged to see universities reinstating professors, but that they never should have been punished in the first place. Yes, he added that sanctioning the professors would likely cause others to guard what they say. It's disappointing to see universities fold under pressure to terminate faculty for expressing themselves online, as if the First Amendment is an expediency to be discarded at a whim. Yeah, I mean, whatever happened to all this free speech that they claim to want, right? And how is it that these faculties and universities cave so quickly to the MAGA onslaught? There are 31 public university employees who are fired or otherwise face disciplinary action for posting comments about Kirk, a frequent critic of higher education. Most of their remarks were posted online and were critical of the conservative provocateur. That's saying it politely, overly politely. A conservative provocateur. In many cases, the staffers share their comments on personal and sometimes private social media accounts, but their posts escape their closed circles. You need a better circle. Often local and nationwide lawmakers, as well as large online accounts like Libs of TikTok, a right-wing influencer account with 8 million followers, shared the comments, leading to a deluge of harassing messages for both the poster and their employer. Most of the censured professors USA Today identified were at public universities in red states, with the most in Florida, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Those fired were tenured professors, adjuncts, administrators, and support staff. So, yeah, this is good. A Dakota University told Hook in September it planned to fire him after he posted he didn't give a flying F about Kirk and called him a hate-spreading Nazi. But Hook sued, and by October, the public university had relented. They cave so quickly to Nazis. It's like, what the fuck? Another university professor shared a post. He referenced a comment from Kirk, which said that some gun deaths were unfortunately justified to keep the Second Amendment. Unfortunately justified. You know what? Gun deaths are unfortunately justified to keep the Second Amendment. That has
Go
ahead.
Yeah, I know you know this, but like for the little people in the back that don't realize this, no deaths are worth the Second Amendment. I'm sorry, but nobody should be dying to protect a gun law. Especially innocent children.
Yeah, they tried saying, well, instead of firing him, we're going to suspend him. And it was trying to fire him. And on December 30th, Austin, PA, announced it failed to follow its required 10-year termination process, and Michael would get his job back. Unbelievable. What good are these universities if they're just going to cave and roll over and show their bellies? No. Here's some more. I don't know if this is good news or interesting news. Yale College has purged every Republican supporter from its faculty. Disturbing new analysis shows. This is from the Daily Mail, so now I'm starting to doubt the validity. This is sounding like fake news.
The Daily Fail. Don't you call that the Daily Fail? I would take it with a pinch of salt because they are more or less a right-wing media source.
Yeah.
They're not always
well, get this. The Yale University did not have a single professor donate to a Republican candidate in 2025 as ideological diversity on Ivy League campuses remains under scrutiny. While 2025 was an off year for elections, the Yale Daily News studied Federal Elections Commission's filings for the year, looking into over 7,000 contributions for nearly 1,100 school employees. They found that 97.6% of the donations from people who listed their position as professor were for Democrat candidates, and the remaining 2.4% went to independents.
I'm sorry, but that information shouldn't be any of their business. As long as these professors,
it's public.
Teachers are doing their job. Okay.
No. It's public. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. 2.4% went to independents. That means the 2.4% of idiots supporting independent candidates, when independent candidates do not win elections ever. Why? Because independent candidates are not recognized in all 50 states. So voting third party is stupid.
It is. They should have voted for Kamala. Hopefully that would have helped, and we wouldn't be.
But hold on. Why? Okay, why are they upset that nobody donated to the Republican Party or Republican causes? Republicans do not like they do not like education. They do not like elite schools like Yale. So why would it come to any? Why would it come to any?
The point I was trying to get to, like, it shouldn't be none of their business what professors and teachers, who they donate to, what teachers and professors do in their like free time, or who they support politically, as long as it's not affecting their job, or whoever they're donating money to should be their business, not the schools. The school shouldn't dictate to them, well, why didn't you donate money to so-and-so? Or why are they trying to name and shame people?
Yeah, Jonathan Turley, idiot on an analyst that works for CNN, wrote, "The figures prove that conservatives are unwelcome on elite campuses." No. The radical imbalance is a reflection of the lack of diversity at the school, says the person who does not like diversity. These people do not, they constantly preach against the evils of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then they complain that it's not diverse enough. You see what I mean? These people are they're just blatantly obvious. They don't even hide themselves well. No kidding.
Walking contradiction.
It's like, start your own school. Don't you have your own colleges? What about Hillsdale? How's that doing? History professor Mark Peterson told Fox News that these numbers reflect a liberal student body supporting liberal causes. Would it be surprising if labor unions overwhelmingly favored the party that supports them against their union-busting opponents? If environmentalists support the party that supports environmental protection against a party that attacks it? Peterson went on to blame conservatives for attacking universities dating back decades. Yes, there's a reason why there's no diversity as far as there's no right-wingers in these campuses, because you guys have said how evil and nasty these places are. So your conservatives are staying away. GOP politicians have been openly attacking intellectuals and higher education and trying to defund it and limit its freedom of inquiry. I mean, it's like, pick a lane. Yale hires and retains faculty based on academic excellence, scholarly distinction, and teaching achievement, independent of political views. The university also considers faculty members' ability to mentor the next generation of scholars and leaders. You conservatives are not capable of any of those things. You conservatives have no interest in any of those things, except for your own propaganda. Okay? That's all you have in mind when you think, when right-wingers when they think about mentoring the next generation. What do they think about? PragerU? That's all you've got as far as mentoring. And then you've got these right-wing agitators, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan. We can go down the list. That's all you have. And every single one of these guys have attacked education and higher learning. So is it any surprise why none of these people are going towards these schools? You caught the car. Now what? I got nothing. Oh,
I think we've covered everything.
Well, one last story and then we'll go. A Georgia man arrested for hurling racist insults at black security guard claiming free speech. Now, I saw the video of this guy. This mongrel. I'm gonna label this mongrel. Take a look at this jackass.
Okay.
There you are. Boop. Now this guy literally just... I saw the video of this guy just literally lose his shit. And just... You're not American, you're just an N-word. A 65-year... This guy is 65 years old. He probably just retired. But he got arrested, too. So that's a good thing. 65-year-old Robert John Blake was booked on misdemeanor disorderly conduct charges. A white man went on a racist rant outside of a Social Security office in Norcross, Georgia, earlier this week. Again, probably just recently retired. So now he feels he can be as nasty as he wants. He doesn't have to worry about losing a job. He was caught arguing with a black security guard and later hurling racial slurs towards the man. The entire exchange was caught on video. Part of the exchange, but yeah, the part that we really need to see, yeah. In the clip, it is unclear what sent Blake into a rage, but once outside, he tells the officer that he would kick the shit out of him, and when the officer faints as if he wants to throw a punch, Blake tells him, "Want to do it now? Yeah, take a shot, motherfucker." Blake then calls the security guard the N-word twice before walking off, telling the crowd outside the office that he was a citizen and his words were free speech. He continued yelling at no one in particular, "Bring it on," while a woman quickly escorted children into the office. According to employees at the Social Security office, the incident was not the first time Burke had issues at that location. In fact, it wasn't the first time he'd been arrested for causing a disturbance. Yeah, he's got a long rap sheet. Burke was arrested after getting into another verbal dispute, this time at the Courtyard Marriott in Duluth, Georgia. Or Marriott. Hotel. I mean, he's gotten into verbal altercation with a female desk employee who asked Gwinnett County Police to remove him from the premises for trespassing. Per the police report, Burke was aggressive, yelling at the employees, and he was also talking to himself. So this guy is racist, deranged, delusional, and he needs to be locked up. When Burke was eventually taken into custody for the hotel incident, he reportedly told police that he suffered from schizophrenia, paranoia, and mental health disabilities. That doesn't surprise me. But a racist is still a racist. So, but you know what's interesting? Racists are usually mentally broken people anyway. So, it doesn't surprise me that he's suffering from all these things. Of course, that doesn't get him off the... It doesn't get him off the hook.
The hook. No. At the end of the day, I mean, yeah, I understand there is some bad police officers out there, but it doesn't mean that you need to treat every police officer with disdain if they've given you no cause to treat people like that. At the end of the day, we do pay the police a small percentage of our taxes to protect us. You know, they are working, you know, for us. I hope that police officer press charges against that racist.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Nobody should have to go to work and deal with that level of sort of discrimination against them. You know, it's about time that we stamp racism out altogether and show these racists that racism of any kind is not going to be tolerated.
Yeah. I mean, he was very lucid and very clear when he made those racist remarks. So, you know, there's a lot of mentally ill people out there, and none of them didn't just flip and turn racist. That was already ingrained in. But that being said, I want to thank you all for sticking it out. If you're still with us, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Skeptically Speaking podcast. Please follow us on all the other apps. Links will be down in the description. If you found our content interesting,
Don't forget to like. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We love reading your comments. Thank you for joining us today. We really do appreciate all your support. Skeptic and I hope that you all have a lovely weekend, and hopefully you will see us Wednesday or Thursday. I've got a little procedure that I need to do Tuesday, so hopefully my throat won't be too bad. And hopefully we will be back Wednesday, hopefully.
Yep.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
We're hoping we'll still be releasing content Monday, Tuesday, and possibly Wednesday. We'll have content to share, that's for sure. But with that being said, we will say goodnight. Take care, everybody.
Catch you on the flip side.
Grab a brush and put a little makeup. Hide the scars to fade away. Hide the scars to fade away. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to hide the scars to fade away. The shake-up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to. I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. In my self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Father, into your hands, why have you forsaken me?